So today I'm going to show you all how I make my hot cross buns. Hot cross buns are a traditional baked good often associated with Easter and Good Friday. While the origins of hot cross buns are rooted in European traditions, they have become popular in various parts of the world, including the Caribbean. This is not only something Rhett and I grew up eating, but also something I grew up making with my family in the bakery that my father and his siblings own. Back then, buns were only sold on Holy Thursday, but preparations in the bakery would begin days before, with everyone pitching in to juice and zest lemons, grate nutmeg and tonka bean, soak the fruits in essences and extracts, and make the base to brush onto the buns as they came out of the oven. Nowadays, you could get buns well before Holy Thursday. Right, so the first step for our buns is to bloom our yeast. So here we have some warm evaporated milk. What I do is just pop it in the microwave for 30-second intervals. Give it a stir just so that you don't scald the milk where it develops that film on top, and so you don't want to burn the milk and next thing it boil over and dirty your microwave. So 30 seconds, give it a stir, check the temperature, pop it back in for 30 seconds. Once it's warm, gonna add in our brown sugar and yeast, instant yeast. So we want to mix this until the sugar is dissolved and the yeast has been fully incorporated. And you want to break up any lumps because the yeast tends to clump together. You see in the top here, like how it clumping together. You could just use your fork, press it against the side. Give it a mix. This will really help to fast track the proofing process for your buns. We're going to cover it and let the yeast feed on the sugar and start to bloom. So we're going to leave it for about 10 minutes. Right, so while our yeast is blooming in the warm milk, we're going to go ahead and prep our dry ingredients. So here we have 4.5 cups of sifted flour. Again, sifting it just makes life a lot easier. That way you don't end up with any clumps of flour in your finished product. To that, we're going in with some cinnamon powder, salt for flavor and seasoning, of course, and I'm going to grate some nutmeg and tonka bean. I always prefer to grate it as opposed to using the powdered form, as grating it gives you a lot more flavor. It offers a lot more intensity and flavor. Helps to bring your finished product to life. Can't be the real thing. And we're going to be putting in the nutmeg and tonka bean in the bun and also in the base. A little of these go a very long way, so you don't want to add too much. Alright, so we're just going to mix this in just to evenly incorporate it before we move on to getting our wet ingredients ready. Alright, so here we have all our wet ingredients. So before we add everything together, I want to just first zest some fresh lemon. Listen, this is a must. You can't beat freshly zested lemon. I mean, there really is no comparison, as well as freshly squeezed lemon juice here in our blue container. I mean, yeah, yes, you could buy it in the grocery, you could buy lemon extract, lemon essence, but really and truly, you can't be the real thing. I mean, I wish you could smell this kitchen right now with this lemon. So always make sure when you're zesting your lemon, you don't want to zest the rind. It's just the outer layer. So you don't ever want to go too deep. That's why you see me constantly moving the lemon around. And a little of this goes a very long way. Let's see how we are. I'm looking for about a teaspoon. Oh yeah. And next we're gonna do ginger again. You could buy ginger powder, you could buy convenient packaged products, but nothing beats the real thing. So just some freshly grated ginger. These two ingredients help to add a little tang, a little zest, a little life to your bun, that fresh element. So this is our lightly beaten eggs. We're going in with some food coloring, vanilla extract, and freshly squeezed lemon juice. To that, our lemon zest and some of our freshly grated ginger. Alright, and we're gonna mix all this up. So preparing your wet ingredients separately from your dry ingredients, this will make life a lot easier when it's time to mix. So I just want to give that, look at that color. Of course, the coloring is what will give your bun that classic golden yellow color. Alright, so we're just gonna set this side and bring everything on the counter to start putting together our dough. 10 minutes has elapsed, so let's check our milk mixture. So look at that. Look at how it's already blooming. I mean, it almost reaches practically to the top. So again, this is a real easy way to help kickstart your dough. Alright, so we're gonna take this to the counter now. Alright, so here we have all our ingredients set up and ready to go. So to start, we're gonna combine our wet ingredients. We're just taking the bloom action on this milk mixture. Crazy, yeah? Right, so we're gonna add our egg mixture. Hopefully I could add all. Yeah, man. Again, this just makes mixing and kneading a lot easier. You combine all your wet ingredients, combine all your dry ingredients. So when it's time to knead, it's a lot easier. Right, so we want to give this a good mix to just fully incorporate everything. And remember, it has the yellow food coloring in it, so it will change the color. So before we add the wet to the dry, I want to cut in the fat. So here we have margarine and shortening. Love the combination as they work very well with each other. Both provide flavor, richness, tenderness to the dough. Really go hand in hand. I mean, of course, if you want to use all butter, you could do that too. If you want to use all margarine, you could do that too. But I find the shortening and margarine combination to be the best. So you want to break it up into small, even pieces, just to evenly distribute it throughout your flour mixture. Again, for even baking, better finished product at the end. And take your time. You could go in with 2 hands or 1 hand. Really up to you. I mean, and they also have utensils for this to help you. But this is easy. So there's just 4.5 cups of flour. So there's not much to do with 1 hand. Right. So you see the texture of the flour starting to change. It's becoming a little lumpier, if you will. Starting to resemble like coarse cornmeal. That's what you're going for. So you break up all your fat, get it mixed into your flour, and you could even see red this is still continuing to bloom. You see all that fruit and continuing to raise. So that's good. That means our dough will raise very well. All right, so just making a well in the middle here. One more mix. Right, so now that our liquid is in, I'm just going in with 1 finger. I mean, if you want to use a spatula, you could do this just to start to combine your wet and your dry. I just find the 1 finger rather than all your fingers. Just makes a cleaner scene. And just slowly incorporate the flour, your dry ingredients into your wet ingredients. What I like to do too is have some extra flour here on the side, just in case you need to add. You have it right there, ready to go. Alright, so at this point, I'm gonna add in our fruits. A lot of dry flour still. Don't get too afraid if the dough seems a little soft and sticky on your hand. That's the idea, because we're going for a moist, tender end product. So it will be a little sticky at first. Alright, so I'm just going to add a little more flour. I'm going to take it out of the bowl. I mean, you don't have to do this part, but I just prefer to knead on the counter. It'll take your time about 8 to 10 minutes of mixing, and it will start to to come together. Yeah, so as I said, take your time. Don't rush it. You can just have some flour on standby if you find like your hand a little too sticky. So what I did, I just kind of surrounded it with flour. So if I feel any raisins I see, any fruits I see popping out, I'll put it back in the dough. Yeah, so what I did, I just kind of surrounded with flour, lightly flour the surface. So anytime like I feel it's a little too soft, I'll just add in some knead it in. Take your time and knead it in good. You need to knead your dough properly for optimum gluten development. This will give you a much better end product, a much more even, lighter area end product, as opposed to a denser bun. It'll still taste good, but you want it to be light and airy. So as I said, about 8-10 minutes. If you want to put a timer next to it, you could do that. And you just take your time. All I'm doing here, I'm just taking these sides, folding it over, and pressing it down, and bringing it back to the middle. Rotate 90 degrees, and repeat. And I'm not applying too much pressure. I'm kneading with my hips rather than my elbow. I don't want to rough it up. Protein is not something you want to rough up. Take your time, knead it, let the dough do its work. All right, so we're just going to continue to knead here for about 5 or 6 more minutes, and we'll come back and show you the end product. Right, so we're about 7.5 minutes into our kneading process. So as you can see, the dough is still soft, but very workable. Very workable. You see, most of the flour is still on the side. I'm just taking my time to knead it about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes again. Don't rush the process, because again, this will give you a light, airy bun when you finish baking. And again, any raisins, any fruit try to run away, just scoop them back in. So it's going to continue here for about 2 minutes again, and when we finish, I'll come back and show you. All right, so we at about 10-11 minutes of kneading now, so my dough is ready. How do I know? Be mindful that the reason you're seeing all these rips is because of the fruits. Yeah, but other than that, it's soft to the touch, smooth, considering the fruits breaking up the protein strands. So this tells me, and again, it's soft, but it's not sticky. Yeah? So this tells me he's ready to start a proof. So here I have a greased bowl, lightly greased. Just gonna place him in. You could cover it with a warm, damp cloth, cling wrap, or if your bowl has an actual cover, you could do that. It's up to you. Once I cover him, I'm gonna place it in the oven and allow him to proof for an hour to 90 minutes or until he doubles in size. All right, so once that is achieved, we'll come back and show you the next step. We're gonna go ahead and make the base to allow it to steep and just to continue to develop flavor. So the base is what we brush onto the buns as soon as it comes out of the oven. This just adds a whole another layer of flavor. Very traditional process here in Trinidad. So half cup of water, half cup of brown sugar. Give that a little stir. To that, I'm going in with 1 fresh bay leaf. I'm just tearing it again just to help to release the flavor. Straight in he goes. Then I'm going in with a cinnamon stick, some more of this tonka bean that we grated earlier, and some more freshly grated nutmeg, and some of this freshly grated ginger. What you want to do, you want to let your sugar dissolve, bring this to a boil, switch it off, and just let it steep like tea. Right, and lastly, we're going in with some essences, some mixed essence, and vanilla essence. And these essences are from our friends at I Love Local product, guys. Big supporters of them. If you're living in the US and Canada, we'll include the link in the caption where you could purchase these products, and of course, persons in Trinidad and Tobago could purchase them locally. This is a concentration of flavor. That's why you saw so much essence going in. That little bit of water you see is not much, because we want this to be a concentration of flavor. So we're just gonna continue to let this go until the sugar dissolves. And once that dissolves, switch off and cover and let that steep. Right, so an hour has passed, and check out our buns. This is the reason why I changed the size of the bowl, because I knew it would have proofed out of that glass bowl. So you could see here, let me uncover it, there's more than double in size, which is why it's important to watch it, because earlier I did say 60 to 90 minutes, so you never know, depending on the temperature, humidity in the air, temperature of your kitchen, it could take a little longer, but this didn't need anything more than 60 minutes. So what we're gonna do now, I could touch it here, so I'm just gonna hit it a little lash, hit it a punch or punch it down, just to allow the large air bubbles to dissipate. Take it out of the bowl. And again, you know, these fruits like to try to run away, but you're not allowing that. And I'm gonna divide it. Now, you could divide it into 12 buns, 15 smaller buns. It's really up to you. Just to make life easy, I'll divide it into 12. So what I'll do, just cut in half, quarter. One small, quarter. Drop in here, bring this one forward. So we have 4 even pieces. So all I need to do now is divide these into 3 even pieces. Remember, we're not selling any buns, right? So it's not that big deal if one a little bigger than the other. So in your hand, you could just, you're catching it right? You're catching the action right, yeah. So I'm just tucking in the sides just to tighten it. I'm just doing it slow for you to see. I'm just tucking the sides just to tighten the dough, just to tighten the ball, give you a nice smooth round consistency. Some people tend to do it upside down. It's the same thing. Some people do it on the counter. It's the same thing. Same exact thing, yeah? So you're looking for a even round ball. Yeah? Drop him here and then repeat the process. I have a little bakery experience, so I could shaft them or shape them or round them with my 2 hands. You could use a scale and you can weigh each one if you want if you want them to be that precise. I really don't think that's necessary, but it's up to you. Yeah, so I'm just gonna repeat the process again. Cut into 3 even pieces. It's a little slow for y'all to see. Just tuck in any sides, tuck in any sides. Yeah. And then, right, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go over to the oven and I'm gonna show you a little trick to help with proofing. All right, so you could let this proof on your counter. You could cover it with a damp cloth or some cling, but just as like a fail-safe option, let me show you what I'll do. So you hear the kettle going off. So I'm gonna create a steam bath or like a proofing room. So in commercial bakeries, you'll see they have a proofing room where steam is released into the air and they control the humidity in the room, they control the temperature, they control everything. So this is like my makeshift proofing room. So I'm just adding hot water to a pan below it. Just going gently, careful, because this water is going to move around. Just get it underneath. Yeah. See the steam? I'm not sure if the camera picking it up, but yeah. Yeah, so you can see the steam. So, and I am literally just gonna shut this. Let me put on the light So y'all could see in it. The oven is not on, it's not on warm, it's off. It's just gonna help to kickstart the proofing, make it a little faster, a lot gentler as well, because the steam would prevent any scabs, any dry spots on the outside of your buns. So we're gonna let that go for 2 hours, depending, and when it's ready, I'll show you how to check to see when it's ready. An hour has passed, so I just want to use the opportunity to show you all how far the buns have reached in their raising. So I'm just being gentle, being mindful of not opening the door too fast to let in too much cold air. So you see they're already touching, starting to raise. So as I said, remember as I said, you could have done 12 like I did or 15. Yeah, the 15 would have just been a little smaller than this, but it's really up to you at that point. Yeah, so we're gonna continue to let this raise for another hour or so and then move on to baking. All right, so as you can see on the timer here, that's 24 more minutes for the 2 hours, but just based on its size, I'm gonna take it out and preheat our oven. Look at that, look at the size of them. Fill the pan, soft to the touch and not tight, you know, it's springy. So that's a sign to tell you that your buns are ready to bake. So I'm just gonna rest them over here. I'm gonna leave the water in because that could give it a little steam bath when baking too. And I'm baking convection at 350. All right, so our oven is preheated. As you can see, I left the water below just to act as a steam bath. Just to help to gently bake our buns. Let me make sure and get them in the center of our oven. Right, so we're baking at 350 Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Wow, look at that beautiful color. Oh, wow. So part of the reason why I was talking about not putting too much fruits is this. Sometimes you get these ruptures with the fruit bursting through. But that's alright. So now while it's hot, remember we had our base steeping. I'm going to apply our base directly to the bun. Just enough to coat. You don't want to over put too much. Let these buns cool now before we apply the crust. You want to let them cool long because all they'll do is melt the crust. So just let them cool long. Alright, so here we have our buns still cooling. So while it's cooling, I'm just going to make the icing quickly. This is icing sugar with some evaporated milk. You could use regular full cream milk. You could use water. But you're not using much liquid at all. Alright, so we're just going to mix this up. And as soon as it is mixed, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to transfer it to this Ziploc bag. You don't have to buy a piping bag. You could just use a regular plastic bag, small Ziploc bag. I just place it in a measuring cup. I'm going to fill it, close it, and then just cut off one of the tips. So that will be my piping bag. Alright, so you see how thick it is? You want it as thick as possible so that it will stand well on your bun. So you can see how nice and thick our icing is. Classic white color. I'll keep this corner clean so I could cut this corner. So let me just rest them down here. We grab these scissors. I cut my corner, so what I want to do now is just try to bring everything down to that corner. Right, I'm going to start on this one. Across on. All right, y'all. So we've come to the end. There's only one thing to do now. Time to eat. So let me pull up this bad boy here. Make sure you just squeeze down. Chill nice and soft. Let me break it open for y'all. I was gonna bite it, but let me break one open. Look at that. I wish y'all could smell it. Wow. Let me get a bite with the crust too. Ready? Get a bite. Mmm. Some pause raisin, yes? It's a lot of soft. All the air bubbles, light, all the fruits in it, sweetness of the crust. You have the glaze, the flavor of the glaze. Oh my god, it's so good. Alright, y'all, well, thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to send us your feedback, send us your pics, videos when you make this. Also, let us know how you make your crust buns. Alright, thank you, bye.